Hello everyone. So today I just wanted to get on here because I figured something out. Okay, so me and my sister, my little sister, were talking all morning, and people, she's going through a hard time, and I'm not going to specify what kind of hard time she's going through or go into details or anything like that. But I've realized something about people, that I thought I was alone in this behavior. I thought I was, I felt this way when I was having my own issues throughout my life. I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed because I knew that people expected different of me. They expected me to be one way, and then when I wasn't that way, or when I couldn't live up to a certain person's expectations, which is something you should never do, I felt ashamed. Therefore, I didn't ask for help. A lot of times before in my life, I'd never reached out and asked for help. It was kind of the result of my destruction, my getting in trouble with the law or something. And then here comes me needing help, then other people realizing that I need help. So then it's like kind of forced upon me. That's how help's been given to me in the past. But throughout that help and throughout my life, I have come to conclusions and realizations about human nature. And that a lot of the times, people will suffer in silence because they're ashamed of what people may say, because society has gotten to the point where it's so judgmental, and so if you're not, like this cookie cutter person, that you're going to get shunned and shamed for it. And because, past experiences may validate that for you. But you have to, if we could move to a way of being more compassionate with people who are having problems, and not shame people for, or making them feel bad for what they suffer with, no matter if it's worse than what you suffer with or 10 times better than what you suffer with, it doesn't make it any less painful. There are different degrees of suffering. That doesn't make someone who suffers more better than someone who suffers less. You both are still suffering. So maybe be a bit more understanding of people who aren't suffering like you, but they aren't you. So you can't compare that. You can't compare suffering and greatness, because there's different degrees and varying, and it has nothing to do with what you've done or what you haven't done. It has nothing to do with that. But people will stay in their suffering for fear of what other people may say about them. Or, because we've just gotten into this place with society to where judging somebody is easier than trying to actually understand why somebody's hurting, not how somebody's hurting. And they don't feel safe to ask for help. And that is wrong. That is so wrong, because nobody should suffer with issues alone. Nobody should suffer alone. It's horrible to suffer by yourself, because you get into this cycle of thinking that you're the only one who suffers like that, and then you keep just telling yourself all these negative things, and the cycle continues. If you can understand that you're just a human who, believe it or not, generational trauma is a thing, who for the people that you came from suffered so deeply before you, that suffering runs deep in you. And it's so much easier to just throw in the towel and say, I give up, I give in to my suffering, I give in to, which is every drug addict you will know. every person who, has a lot of rage. Someone who hurts other people outwardly is somebody who's suffering deeply, and they don't feel deserving enough to show. Because if you get to a point in life where you only, for the most part, have displayed negative things because that's all you've experienced, people will then start to expect that from you. And that doesn't feel good. And it's easier to say, you know what, they're right. This is who I am. But at any moment, you can start to tell yourself and feel greater than your suffering, because you are not your suffering. A lot of times, like I would say, or a lot of people, they use this expression where they say, my brain's trying to kill me, or my brain is trying to do this. But you saying that is reaffirming the disconnect that you feel within yourself. You and your brain are not separate. You are in control of it. And the things that you're not in control of, you can recognize as possible things that affected your family line, your generational family, the people that you've come from. Maybe it's a neurological problem that a lot of people before you have suffered. But that's where, if you can stop talking about, or be more aware of how you talk about yourself, you can fix that. A lot of people, we have a problem with. I used to do this a lot, actually. I would make a persona for my borderline personality disorder. When I would be really mean and I would display traits of that, I would make a name for it. I would say, it's the other me. I made this whole persona, and it's just so I could. It's like I was reaffirming the split within my mind, the split that I feel, and by reaffirming it, I was, by saying it out loud and reaffirming it to other people, I was making it okay to display those behaviors. I was giving an excuse. And so if you can change the way that you talk about yourself and the emotions that you feel, and find better terms for it, like, there are things about me that I cannot control, but that doesn't mean that I was ever in control to begin with. Like, you have to find different avenues of speech. And I think that really helps to trick your mind and your subconscious into behaving differently. But also, if we just show more compassion as a species for each other, and realize that we need each other and that we need other people, because when we feel good about ourselves, it directly correlates with how other people feel about us, Because if we don't feel good about ourselves, we're going to think that nobody else feels good about us either. But if we feel good about ourselves, then we don't question whether other people feel good about us or not, because that doesn't come up in somebody's mind when they feel secure and good. But if you're always shaming somebody, if your tactic is to shame someone and you think that's going to make them change, but you're contributing to the problem. Say you're an enabler for a drug user, right? You can't shame them. Say, you're fucked up. When are you going to do all this? And when are you going to change? And, I can't keep doing this. But they're the one buying drugs for you or supplying the drugs to you. It's like, it's counterintuitive to sit there and shame somebody. Because a person who is using drugs knows full and well what they're doing to themselves and to other people. But if they don't feel worthy enough about themselves If we don't feel those things about ourselves, and because other people keep reaffirming it for us, and our speech is reaffirming it, and we only talk about ourselves in a negative light, you know, then where's the room for change, you know? So if you're having a hard time changing or, you know, getting something out of your life, start today just by telling yourself a few good things about yourself. That's it. Just start there. Start on your relationship with yourself. And you can trick yourself. There's ways to trick yourself. There's the post-it note thing, or even if you just read it, if you just read something enough, you can begin to feel it, and you can begin to use that power. It is very hard to just change on the dime, and our brains don't work that way. You have to give yourself at least 21 days of reading something over and over before you even feel it to be genuine at all. And when you can feel that about yourself, you will then let other people feel that about you as well. So start there. Start with a very small step of just telling yourself a couple nice things today. If you can't do that, just a couple small things that you're grateful for. You know, the good things that you still have, that have nothing to do with what you do for work, how you make money, where you went to school. It has nothing to do with external sources. How do you make people feel? Is there a certain thing that you do? Do you listen to people? Do you make people laugh? Are you a good animal parent? You know, things like that. How do you connect with other people? If you can't figure out any good things, just text somebody right now and ask them, say, what do you think are 3 good things about me? Ask for help in that department, because the people that you think don't love you, or maybe you're telling yourself that they don't care about you, that's not true. Everyone perceives everything differently. So I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.